In this video, I'll give you a full walkthrough from the beginning all the way to the end on how to create a 3Commas DCA bot. Now, if you want to skip to any specific section, there will be a timestamp in the description, and also you can skip on it directly on the video. So to start off, you need to understand what a DCA bot essentially does. DCA is dollar cost averaging, and there are a lot of articles and a lot of videos about dollar cost averaging that explain it really well. So make sure that you understand dollar cost averaging before you start getting into 3Commas DCA bots. Once you're on 3Commas, you can go on the left on the trading bots to DCA bot and then click on the little add icon. It will take you to one of those 3 pages, or you will be shown an option where you can choose between a Gordon, a wizard, or an advanced bot. For this video, I'm just going to take a wizard bot because I think it's the easiest, especially for beginners to create, because it divides each section on a single page so you can easily guide through it. So the first thing that we have to set are always the main settings. The first thing is always the name, so that we can later on identify which bot is running which deals. In my personal opinion, the best way is either to really have a certain name for the bot, or always just name it the exchange that it is trading on. And then if it's single pair, just name the pair. And if it's multi-pair, you can just call it bot. And then after that, you can quickly summarize your settings, whatever it does. The second thing is the exchange. So this will be the exchange that the bot will be trading on. Make sure that if you want to trade futures, that you are choosing your futures exchange. They will be divided separately. In this case, I'm just going to take Binance. Then you can either choose a bot type, which is single pair or multi-pair. Single pair means that this bot is only going to trade one single pair. So for example, Bitcoin or Ethereum. If you want one bot to trade multiple pairs, you need to choose multi-pair. Also, depending on the plan that you have, if you want to trade multiple pairs and you only have the free plan, then you need to choose multi-pair. If you, on the other hand, you could also do this with, let's say you have 10 single pair bots and all single pair bots are trading a different pair, then you would need at least a starter plan, so you would have to pay for that. So especially in the beginning and for smaller balances, I would recommend choosing multi-pair. And you can go to the next step. Next step will be the pairs that the bot is going to trade. So it may be tempting to just, for example, choose USDT all, because now we have all the Tether pairs that are available to trade. This, however, is definitely not what we want to do. There's a video that I recently made that shows why choosing the right trading pairs can triple your profit. And it's one of the most crucial things to consider when creating your DCA bot. We don't want pairs where the price is only based around pump and dump or just based around hype. So for example, pairs that I always leave out are Doge and Shiba Inu, because with them the price is only based around hype and the bot cannot trade them for a longer period of time, so for a few years. If your strategy or if your bot does not revolve around long-term investments, but is more for short-term trading, then you can definitely stick to these type of coins. It's just not my personal preference. There's also another problem with saying all pairs. So for example, you can see that here we have the Euro versus USDT pair, or the Great British Pound against the USDT, which doesn't make any sense because you don't want to trade Forex. There are other platforms for that, but you want to trade crypto. So I recently made a video where I show my process of choosing the best pairs, which in my opinion I think is the best. I've tested a lot of different pair selection strategies, but I think this one works the best. And therefore I would just choose like the 10 to 15 top performing pairs and switch them out once a month, and then you're good to go. In this example, I'm just going to choose USDT all because it makes it easier. The next step is going to be the strategy section. The first field is the max active deals. The max active deals tells the bot how many trades it can have active at the same time. So right now, let's just say these are 100 pairs. If we have one max active deal, the bot will always randomly choose one of the 100 pairs and it will open a trade with this one. Once it closes the trade, it will randomly choose another pair and it will then open a deal with this one. You change the setting if you have a bigger balance than the bot requires. So for example, later on in the video you will see that one deal requires a certain amount of money for the bot to trade with. Right now, you can see it to the right, one deal requires 61 USDT. If you have more than 61 USDT in your account, so let's just say you have 610, then you will increase the max active deals to 10, so that the bot now requires the balance that you have. Obviously, you don't want to have any balance just lying around, but you want to make use of all your balance. So increase the max active deals so that it reflects your balance that you have in your account and that you want the bot to trade with. The strategy then can be either long or short. So depending if your bot is a long or a short bot. Generally speaking, when using DCA bots, long bots work a lot better than short bots. Short bots should only be used by advanced users. Profit currency is then the currency that the bot will take the profit in. If you choose quote, then it will always be against the pair that it is trading. Since we chose USDT on our pairs page, all the profit will be taken in USDT. Because USDT is a stable coin, that also means that our profit is pretty consistent. On the other hand, if you choose base, it will always take the profit in the crypto that has been traded. So for example, if the bot recently closed the Bitcoin trade, then the profit will be taken in Bitcoin, which also means that our profit will move with the underlying price of Bitcoin. This can either be good or it can either be bad, but it definitely means that it's more inconsistent than choosing the profit as a stable coin. Also, when you're choosing crypto, you will not accumulate your profit and therefore you cannot compound your profit, so it will take a lot longer to scale your balance up. So I would always recommend choosing quote. But if you have a big balance and you've been in the game, you know what you're doing, you can definitely choose base. Now the base order size is the volume that we want to buy when we open a deal. By default, this will be at whatever is required on your exchange. For example, if I wanted to choose 5 on Binance, the minimum investment is $10. On other exchanges, this might be higher, but 10 is typically the default setting that you will see for most bots. So again, once the bot opens a trade, we will buy $10 of the underlying crypto. Now the start order type can be either market or limit, which means we are the market taker or the market maker. Typically there are certain fee structures for market maker and market taker, where market maker, so when we're using a limit type, we will pay a lot less fees than with market. So typically you will see that people go for limit because we save a lot of money. The next step will be the deal starting condition. The deal starting condition is an interesting aspect because this is the condition that has to be true so that the bot opens a new deal. There are a lot of options, and depending on the exchange you're using, there are also different options. Let's just go through them a little quickly. So the first one is TradingView. If you've ever been on TradingView, you probably know that they have an integrated technical indicator that just summarizes a lot of technical indicators. And it will then either be a sell rating, a strong sell rating, neutral, and then a buy or a strong buy. So with this you could say, okay, I want on the daily time frame it has to be a strong buy or my bot will not enter the deal. Then there are also preset strategies from 3Commas. So there's, for example, QFL. CQS, and then built-in technical indicators like the RSI, Bollinger Bands, and then they have also some other presets. And you could also use the signal provider, which is in the marketplace where you can buy signals, and then depending on the signals, bot can open a trade. A really cool aspect is also trading with custom signals. So there's a really good instruction. Maybe I'll do another video about this, but basically if you have your own TradingView indicator or strategy and you have the Pro Plan on TradingView, you can send a webhook request to your 3Commas bot and it will then open a new trade. Also, what I get asked a lot of times, there are a lot of bots out there that don't depend on any technical indicator or on any strategy. They just always want to open a position. Since there is no option for ASAP, for example, there's a little trick you can do. You can choose the RSI 7 and then instead of 30, you can enter 100. Since the RSI can never go exactly to 100, in this case, it will always open a new deal. So this is a little trick that you could do. The next step are now the safety orders. Now the safety orders are basically the heart of the bot and they differentiate bots between each other. So these are actually the main settings of the bot that you have to set. These are basically the main settings of the bot. So again, a safety order is every time that so a safety order is the term for every time that the bot is buying again. So our safety order size, if you think back to the base order size was how much we buy when we open a deal. Safety order size is now how much we buy when there is a safety order filled. The price deviation is then at which price deviation the bot will buy again. So we're at this right now, the default is at 1%, which means when we open the trade and the underlying crypto goes down 1%, then we are buying $10 of this crypto. Then there's also the max safety trades count, which will tell the bot how often it should do this. By default it's at 5, which means 5 times when it drops 1%, we will buy $10. You can also see on the right, the max safety order price deviation is at 5%. This is at what percentage of the drop our last safety order is going to be at. So right now, 1% times 5 obviously equals 5%. Then we have the step scale and the volume scale. So maybe you don't want your price deviation to be at 1% increments each time, but you maybe want to make the gap a little bigger, or you want to make the gap a little smaller. So for example, if I now add 1.5 to the step scale, you can see that the max safety order price deviation increased to 13.18%, which means that every time there's a price deviation, it will multiply it by 1.5 and therefore the gap will always get bigger. This can also be set for the volume scale, which just means that every time where there's a safety order being executed, we're buying more. So for example, right now, the max amount of bot usage, which is how much the bot requires for all safety orders to be filled, is at 61. To set it to 1.5, it will be at 143. And the max active safety trades count, this just tells the bot how many safety trades will be in the order book. Typically you set this to 1, or if your gap in between safety orders is really small, you can set it to 2. Because there may be cases where there's a big dump in a crypto and then the 3Commas bot may be too slow to set, for example, the second safety trade. So with this, you can be safe that it will always be filled, that it will always be quick enough. The most important thing to consider is to always look at the table, because this is just all theoretical, but you don't really, especially in the beginning, get what it is doing. So always have a look at the table. The table will tell you exactly what the bot is doing and when it will be doing this. So we have all the order numbers starting from our base order and then numbered all the safety orders. We can also see the deviation where those orders are executed. So you can already see from 1 to 2.5, we have the step scale with 1.5. And then the gap between the safety orders gets bigger each time. We can then see all the individual orders. So this is how much we're buying each time. We can see $10, $10, and then the volume scale is factored in and it will increase every time. Again, typically you're buying more each time because of the dollar cost averaging effect. So every time when the price is lower and we are buying more, then our average price is also lower even more, and it is easier for us in turn to make a profit because we don't need such a high move in the other direction. And then you can see the price, which will be the price of the asset, our average price, and then our required price. The most important column in this whole table is the required change percentage. This will tell you how much of a percentage move in upwards you need to make a profit. By default, we have 1% target profit, so the required change with our base order is around 1%. Then as we go down, you can see that this obviously increases. But if you have a look at the last safety order, for example, we have a deviation of 13%. And we only have a required change of around 7%. So that our required change is lower than our deviation, and that is because we are dollar cost averaging so well. What this also tells us, and what is really important to understand, is with this, we don't depend on the markets going up all the time. So I recently had a trade where I made my 3% target profit, but the coin during the trade went down 20%, which is amazing because that tells me I don't need bull markets all the time, but my bot can also work in bear market and it can really work in any market condition. Then you have the total, which just adds up every individual order, so you can see how much money you need in total. This is and also the max amount of bot usage that you can always see here. Now the $143 that is now required for one deal is only required if all our safety orders are filled. You can see that, for example, if only 3 safety orders are filled, we only need $57. So we only need a third of that. So there's a term that is called risk, which is how much of our balance does the bot require. If you want to be on the safe side all of the time, then your risk will be 100%, which will mean your bot requires the same amount as your balance. So if you have $1,000 in your account, the bot will require $1,000. With that, you will always be on the safe side because all of your safety orders then can be filled. However, there are strategies out there where, for example, let's just look, where the price deviation is at 75% with this, let's just say. Obviously, 75% deviation will not be filled a lot of times because it's just a huge drop. So with this bot, you wouldn't really say you need $760 for one deal, because again, the likeliness or the chance of all safety orders being filled happening is really, really low. So if you have a bot that has a really high price deviation, you can then think about increasing your risk, for example, to 150 or 200%. So in this case, if I have an account of exactly $760, I would maybe think about running 2 deals, because with 2 deals it will require 1.5k, but in reality I will be safe to fill 7 safety orders with 2 deals because they only require around 330, and that would total to 660, which I would have in my account. So I'm totally safe up until a 32% deviation, which is already also a lot. On the other hand, if you don't want to do all the calculations yourself, you could also just decrease the max safety trades count. Then you can see that it requires 333. So in this case, I could then also just set it to two max active deals, and it will also reflect the same amount of money. So there are the two ways that you can do. There are pros and cons of both. Obviously with this, the calculation is easier, but I think with the other one, if you do it like this, you will then on your My Deals page instantly see an error, and you can see, oh, okay, I have another safety order where I don't have any balance, so maybe I need to add another balance. And on the other, if you do the other case, so if you do it like this, then you will need to manually add all the safety orders yourself. The next step is then the stop loss. So a stop loss is just to limit the loss you can make. Obviously, the stop loss always has to be lower than your max safety order price deviation, because otherwise it just won't work. And then you can also specify if you want to only close the deal or if you want to close the deal and stop the bot. You could also specify a stop loss timeout. The stop loss timeout basically tells about how much time should pass so that the stop loss really counts. For example, if you have a stop loss at $100 and the crypto dumps slightly below 100, stop loss will not be immediately executed. But if we say 60 seconds, then the price has to stay under 100 for 60 seconds. If it goes back up, the deal will remain open. If it is below 100, then the deal will be closed. The next step then would be the target profit. So you can freely set any percentage that you like. For my bots, I typically use 3%. And you can also specify trailing. So if you want your take profit to always be trading upwards. And then you can set the take profit type. And it's really, really important to set the take profit type to always be percentage from total volume. The difference is, if I set percentage from base order, then my 3% will always be calculated from a base order size. So right now it would be 3% of $10. If I choose percentage from total volume, let's just say all safety orders get filled, then the size of one deal would be $300, and then it would take the 3% of those $300. So it's a 30 times difference in with this bot between the take profit from base order and from total volume. I always recommend using percentage from total volume. And then we have the advanced settings, where you can filter out some pairs that don't or that have less trading value than the specified Bitcoin amount. You can specify a minimum price or a maximum price. So maybe you can, if there are, then you can also set a cooldown between deals, which means that, for example, if you're trading only one pair, I think this will be used mostly for single pair bots and not for multi-pair bots. Once the bot closes a deal in profit, you can set a cooldown and it will wait, for example, 60 seconds before it opens another deal. Then you can also specify open deals and stop, where you can enter a number, and now the bot from now on will only open and close 100 trades, and then it will stop itself. You can also set the simultaneous deals per same pair. For example, if you have a multi-pair bot, or if you have, for example, if you have a single pair bot, you could say 2 simultaneous deals, and then it will open 2 deals from the same pair at the same time. I don't really see the use case with that, but maybe you'll find some. Then you can also specify close deal after timeout. So when you set this, once the bot opens a deal, you can specify, for example, an amount of days that the deal can remain open until it will close itself automatically. Once you've set up everything, you can just click on Create Bot. You can either start it right away or you can close it. I will close it for now. You will then come to your overview where you can see all your settings again. Also the red pairs are just all the blacklisted pairs. And then you can also go ahead and start it. Make sure that before you're starting your bot, you have the correct crypto in your account. So this bot is trading against USDT, for example. So you have to make sure that you have USDT in your account, or otherwise it will not work. However, if you forget it and you start the bot, or if there's any other error, all the events will be logged here, so you can always see the exact error that the bot is producing and why it isn't working. And then on your DCA bot overview, you can also, under the disable filter, you can see the bot that we just created. You can see the active deals. Obviously it's not running, so it has no deals. And then you can start it by just clicking on this little toggle here and then confirming the start. Once you've started the bot is up and running, and it will from then on do everything on its own, and you've just created your first DCA 3Commas bot. So if you watched until this part, thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments how your bot is performing, or if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Bye.